Hello, and welcome back to Monday All Weekend, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with another live stream for the folks here on YouTube. And we got a couple things we're going to cover this evening.
A couple. A
We're
couple.
g- First, just to give you a teaser, we're going to cover the Wish box office as well as Napoleon.
Mhm.
Um, and just adding it to the many examples of Disney ultimately failing on itself. And then we're going to get into a little bit of some news around Gladiator 2. Now that Napoleon's wrapped up, I'm sure Ridley Scott's going to be talking about this for about a year or so. and then we'll also take a look at some other Napoleon information as well. So yeah, first things first. I don't know what's first, man. Sometimes I start a sentence. It's like Michael Scott. He says that he starts a sentence and doesn't know where he's going.
Gladiator first.
Well,
Or
we can hit Gladiator first, but I wanted to give some people some time to jump in. If you are here live,
jump
please
jump in.
interact with us in the comments. We'd love to talk with you throughout this live stream. Just hit us up in the live chat, and we'll interact with you. So yeah, I don't know. Let's get into Gladiator. What do you say?
Yeah,
Okay.
Gladiator sounds
Because we
good.
do have a good bit
Gladiator's
to
a
cover.
good topic. Yeah.
So Ridley Scott is talking about Gladiator, right? I mean, as his latest film, Napoleon's rolling out, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have an article here from Collider, and he kind of gives us. We're breaking down some of the cast members that are in the upcoming film.
Yeah.
And I believe this is slated for next year, if I'm not mistaken. So let's get into this. First things first. Let's look at the list of some of these actors that's going to be in this. Some surprising faces. First off, Denzel Washington's going to be in this film.
Yeah. Denzel.
What?
Gladiator 2. That's a pretty interesting cast choice.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I just found out this week. It didn't really hit me. Ridley Scott is in his mid-80s.
Yeah, he's pretty old.
And he's still popping off these movies.
Mm-hmm.
He's like Clint. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. We just watched. Wasn't a Ridley Scott movie we watched last night, Wyatt?
What'd you watch?
What did we watch?
We watched Robin Hood with
with Russell Crowe. I didn't realize that was a Ridley Scott one until we got to the end and his name popped up. I was like, oh, yeah.
Wait, which Robin Hood? The one with Russell Crowe? Is that what you said?
Russell Crowe.
Okay. Yeah. That is a decent film, actually. I only think I watched it a while back. Did it hold up on the rewatch?
Yeah. I mean, it's got some issues historically.
A lot of people have that critique about Ridley Scott.
I mean, and there's clearly liberties taken with characters and whatever. But I like it's kind of a different take on the Robin Hood story, which, I like. I didn't mind it.
I know even with the first Gladiator, like there was so much scrutiny around, especially the opening battle scene.
Yeah.
Of the historical accuracies. And now Napoleon, which we'll get into later this evening.
Oh, people are talking about Napoleon?
Very much so. The historians are coming after the film, right?
Yeah.
They're really on the rise. And I feel like we're going to get the same backlash for the next Gladiator film. But
oh man, hate to see it.
hate to see it.
But I mean, also Kingdom of Heaven got similar historical like battle critiques, but it's an incredible movie. I don't think that because a movie is necessarily doesn't necessarily have to be 100% historically accurate to be a good movie. Clearly people love Braveheart,
right?
And like half of that is fiction, but
it makes you want to be a Scotsman.
It does. And
those bagpipes and the music.
Yeah, and then and Russell Crowe made us want to be a gladiator.
Right, who lost his family brutally.
Yeah, very brutally.
It just makes us all want to be that.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that kind of inspired uh dads everywhere,
Dad.
the Roman Empire,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we
Uh,
always been thinking about the Roman Empire.
I mean, even like me and my younger brother would recreate the scene where he's about to be killed by the Praetorians,
Right.
because we had like a replica Gladius, and so we would recreate it, see how accurate it was.
Not
Right?
very, probably.
We would hold it behind somebody's head, and then they'd move and catch it and
Right. Right.
throw it at somebody else. But this new one,
Yeah,
so
who's in it besides Denzel?
We also got
Well-
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro.
yeah, Pedro Pascal. And does it say who Pedro's going to be playing? I've looked through the Pedro Pascal, whose character details aren't revealed yet. Okay.
Pedro Pascal, yeah, he doesn't have a name on IMDb
Mm-mm.
yet, as well as Denzel Washington does not have a name.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Pedro as like a senator, or like you could definitely see him in those like Roman kind of
Right.
flowy robes with like a goblet or something,
Oh,
and maybe
yeah.
a
I
little
definitely could see,
wreath around his head.
Definitely.
flowy robe and a wreath.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we also got Eddie from Stranger Things.
And what's his name?
Let's see. So Joseph Quinn is the actor's name.
Okay.
And he doesn't have his character listed yet either. In fact, the only characters we have is Connie Nielsen is Lucia, Paul Mescal is Lucius, and Derek Jacobi as how do you say what's that name you think?
I can't see.
Gratius?
Hold on.
Gratius?
Let me full scene it. Gracchus.
Gracchus is
Gracchus, I believe, was his name in the previous movie.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
So you got the knowledge, that the remembering
Yeah.
of stuff. I'm not super caught up with all the characters' names and such from the previous film. I need to rewatch it.
And then I believe gosh, I hope Jaimon, I think is how his name. Jaimon.
Who's that?
Jaimon Honsu is the guy. I think he's reprising his role as Juba, who's the other gladiator who helps.
But he
Russell
got killed
Crowe.
in this movie.
No. In the previous movie, he survived.
Survives.
He was the one. He was the one at the end who he buried the wife and son little trinkets.
Yes.
And he says, "I'll see you again, my friend, but not yet."
Yes. I believe. See, I'm saying you got the remembering.
Yeah. But this article says Paul Mescal is Lucius, and that's who the movie will be following.
Right.
He was the kid in the previous movie.
Yeah. The
And
nephew of Joaquin Phoenix's character.
Yes.
And the prince of
he was the son of the other lady.
Paul Mescal, I don't think I've seen any of his movies.
Yeah.
As far as I know, After Sun, for some of his most popular, no, I haven't seen it. The Lost Daughter, Normal People, All of Us Strangers. I haven't seen any of these movies.
Okay. And
have you seen anything? Have you seen any of these movies, Wyatt?
No. I'm a little interested that they didn't go with the original actor.
Oh yeah,
Spencer Clark.
You know, is Spencer Clark still acting?
His last. Oh wow, yeah. I don't know.
Curious.
It
a lot of times,
look like he's been in anything recently. Yeah.
Folks who act as kids tend to not continue acting necessarily.
Yeah, he was.
It looks like he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, he was in something in 2019. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe
he was
he
in
just
Glass.
wasn't.
I guess
Maybe
not.
he wasn't available. I think he was the kid in Unbreakable.
He plays Steve
Hmm.
in Weird Al Yankovic Story.
Okay. So he's still doing some stuff.
Right.
But it is interesting they didn't go with him because he was the kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And I can imagine that perhaps the casting choice for something like this is we need somebody who's extremely physically active.
Yeah.
And when you're looking for that kind of person, you've got to find somebody who's got the right mindset for it, who can be out there. Maybe Spencer was not looking to do that, to
Right.
play that
Maybe.
role.
Let's see. So this is something Ridley Scott has said previously about the
Mm.
film, and I guess the plot a little bit. I'll read some of
Mhm.
this. He's a rich guy who's still carrying a grudge, elaborating there were businesses of gladiators who could indeed earn their freedom if they stayed alive, hinting at the life that never unfolded for Maximus. So when he went right into that in-depth, so we went right into that in-depth. Where did he come from? How was he taken? He was branded with marks and registered with brands. Is this about the Gladiator, the first film?
No, I think this is about Denzel Washington's character,
Ah,
because
okay.
up here it says Denzel Washington will be playing a slave who won his freedom.
I see.
And so he talks about. I'm guessing that a lot of it's going to be following. Lucius is maybe looking for these people or trying to help gladiators currently,
Gotcha.
since he saw what happened to Maximus.
That's true. And I guess Denzel, how do you think Denzel's going to do as a former slave winning his freedom type
He, I
character?
mean, uh, it's Denzel.
Denzel always kills it, but I feel like
This
he's
is a
gonna play
period
Denzel.
piece. Well, this is a period
This
piece.
is. I haven't seen him in a movie like we've seen him in movies that take place in history, but this one is real far back. I don't think I've seen him in a movie that takes place in a time period like this.
Exactly. And so you have that, I don't know, that persona that Denzel
Mhm.
carries, which is very much Denzel in today's world. That's why he
Yeah.
works so well in modern filmmaking. But can that translate well to essentially like whatever, the Roman Empire slave type character?
Mhm.
That's
And
a big, it's not a big ask for a top tier actor. I'm just
yeah.
saying
And is he gonna have? Is he gonna be putting on an accent?
he
Uh,
has to,
you know,
right?
or
Yeah,
is he
he
going
has
full
to.
American,
He has to.
like
I'm
Joaquin
just going.
Phoenix in Napoleon?
Well, he did change his voice a little bit. He
A
just didn't
little
really have a
bit,
French one, right?
yeah. And I mean, a lot of people just do sort of a British kind of accent to give a hint that yes, this is in English, but it's different than our English.
Right, right. I'm curious to see how this plays out because the first
Mhm.
movie was so popular.
Yeah.
And then we might have already covered this. Do we think, are we of the opinion that this is going to be a very big film for when it comes out?
I think so.
What
Oh,
did
yeah.
what did we say on the podcast?
This was like a 4 or 5, I think. A
For
4 at least.
Gladiator 2, we gave it a 4 out of
Mhm.
1 out of 5 for popularity, and we did that on the podcast.
Yeah.
So,
It was huge.
it's gonna be pretty big. It's definitely not gonna be the biggest film of the year, though, right?
Mhm.
It's gonna reach similar heights to what maybe Napoleon is reaching currently.
Maybe it will though. I mean, we said that about Maverick, and Maverick ended up
Maverick
being
killed it.
huge, and everybody loved it. So
People went back to watch Maverick a few times, which is
I
why
went
it
back to
killed.
watch Maverick a second time.
Yeah.
Maverick was awesome, and maybe they will, just pull out all the stops.
Now, I'm sure that historically there are going to be some criticisms. There's quite a few for the original movie, namely that gladiators were not always slaves. That that the gladiator pits were not as brutal as depicted. That
Right.
gladiators often survived most of the time.
Is that
And that
true?
yeah,
Doesn't
yeah,
that
I
counter what the gladiator pits were supposed to be?
I mean,
I
it was performance art.
well, I think in Gladiator, specifically the movie, it shows, like, what is his name? Theseus, and
Theseus?
he
No,
what,
that's Immortals.
oh, I'm thinking of that name for some reason. Who did,
Maximus.
Russell Crowe play?
Maximus.
Maximus.
Maximus. Yes, I don't know why I said Theseus. Maximus go from, like, the lowest gladiator pits
Mhm.
where they were like that, and he kind of worked his way up.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why we saw more, brutal slave
It
gladiator
was
fight.
also Commodus, being a very violent person, um,
Right.
it probably affected it, but, yeah, I know the movie gets a lot of that, a lot of it's like, well, the slaves weren't really treated like this in Rome. They were, I mean, we can read histories all we want, but the movie's about entertainment.
And it does entertain. It
Mhm.
100% does. I
Yeah.
mean, they were releasing tigers and all kinds of stuff,
I
right?
mean, he literally says in the
Y
movie,
Are you
"Are you
not en
not
I
entertained?"
yell
Right.
at my screen every time, yes.
Every time. Yes, Russell.
Every time, yeah. But so, did we wanna get into, like, Napoleon?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to look at what some of the box office numbers, just to
Mhm,
bring you guys a little bit of movie news.
yeah.
Movie news.
Just another example, and I'm gonna keep saying that, another example
Another
of
and
of
another one.
why Disney is just hemorrhaging money. I
Mm,
heard a so first let's take a look at this article that breaks down what's going on. So, box office Disney Wish fizzles, Napoleon beats expectations as Hunger Game lands on top again. Um, so
Mm.
basically, what this is saying is that the Wish came in domestically the first night, the first day at 19.5 million, and over the holiday weekend, $31.7 million. That's a lot lower than expectations, which they were hoping for a 45 to 50 million opening weekend.
Which surprises me because this is considered a long weekend. It's not just,
Right.
Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. You have, like, if they release stuff for Thanksgiving, they're releasing stuff early. When did they
mhm.
release Wish?
I think it started coming out like Wednesday or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a long weekend, 100%. This article does say that Strange World performed a lot worse. Only 18 million through the 5 days of opening weekend, but it's still severely underperforming because this is like the what is this? This is the anniversary Disney princess
Yeah.
film. You know what I mean? And this is supposed to be their next Frozen, or at least their
Yeah,
hopeful
and
Frozen. You
you look
know?
at something like this, and you remember when Frozen came out, and
Mhm.
that weekend, everybody knew the names of the characters. Everybody knew
Yeah.
the songs in the movie. I haven't heard a lick of
No, not
songs
It's
really.
because
or
nobody watched it, man,
nothing.
No
and
lick.
nobody yeah, no licks, nobody watched it, and it does beg the question because here's the other thing this article points out, is that it severely underperformed with a $200 million budget, so
Mm,
it has a lot of ground to make up. Napoleon beat it, not by a ton, but it by all rights should not have beaten it because it's
right.
rated R. It's
Mhm,
almost a 3-hour film,
mhm,
and it really limits your audience when we're talking about Disney, long weekend, and this is supposed to be a fun for all
mm,
ages kind of film. I mean, let's take the example. Now, granted, Mario is a big IP. I heard this on a podcast this week. So Wish has a $200 million budget,
mhm,
right?
Okay.
Mario has a $100 million budget.
mhm.
Okay.
We're talking about, yes, it's an IP, so it's going to do well, Mario, but why on earth does it take an extra $100 million to do a movie like Wish when Illumination did Mario, which is
Yeah.
also an animated film, for $100 million less.
Of
Mhm.
what I've seen with Wish, I'm not like, wow, this is great animation. I'm
No.
like, it just kind of looks like
It
stuff we've
it
seen.
looks like they're backtracking a little bit. I know they're going for a specific style, but it
Mhm.
doesn't look more impressive than what we've
Yeah,
seen
and
10 years ago.
what I've seen from it is just like the meme. There's one meme is like uh uh villains nowadays versus villains when I was a kid. That's what I've
Yeah.
been seeing. And it's the villains song, which is terrible, and then you show, a snippet of the Hellfire song from Hunchback, and it's like, holy crap, this guy one
He's a
one
villain.
dude is like this semi charming, why aren't you doing what I'm saying song.
Chris Hemsworth kind of guy.
The other song is I'm
Mhm.
battling with
Or
like
Chris Pine.
lust and sin, and I'm gonna burn this lady.
I'm gonna burn her
I'm
alive.
gonna burn her alive if she doesn't want me.
He be going
Why
hard.
why did God make the devil so much stronger than a man? That's a line from the song.
Okay, let's just acknowledge the fact. Same company.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Same company did both of these films. Where did the heart of Disney fall from?
Yeah.
They were burned in that hellfire. Let me tell you, the hellfire of culture, dude. Disney
think
is how on earth can you go from
figured it out,
something
but
you figured it out?
where it went,
Where?
but I can't say. On the
Okay,
line.
look. So Wish does terribly. It has a long road to make up, and it's
Mhm.
gonna have to sell a lot of merch that apparently a lot of people don't want
Mm.
for them to make back their money for this $200 million budget.
Yeah.
And this is really putting because this is an anniversary film. It also is, like I said, the next big princess movie for Disney. So if they're not making their money back,
Yeah.
does this mean we're going to start scaling back, or just are they going to hit pause? Like, what is their business plan here? Because
I don't
nothing
know.
they've done recently works. Nothing on
Yeah.
Disney Plus.
We
No movies in
know
theaters.
you guys remember we reported on that thing that Bob Iger was talking about scaling back and
Yeah.
rewriting. I think this is a movie that was already made, and they had to release it to make some money.
Well, everything that's coming out was already almost done
Mhm.
or already finished. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do
They gotta do
have to
something.
release it, but man, it is painful to watch.
Yeah.
It really is painful to watch.
Unfortunate. And then you've got Napoleon again.
Right.
It's doing
Well,
better than a Disney movie. I mean, we had hoped it would do better than it's been doing. Um, but again, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't.
I mean, this is like the Marvel stuff. Why is Disney trying to release it's like their marketing team just lost their mind of like, don't put it on the same weekend as Napoleon. Don't
Look, that shouldn't
put your
necessarily be a
Marvel
factor.
movie around
Mhm.
another very successful IP.
Well, listen, that's not necessarily a factor. This article does explain and contrast the numbers of what is expected, what is considered good right now in movie
Mhm.
theaters compared to what was good back in 2018, 2019. So there are still, and it's not because people are afraid of COVID. I think people just got out of the habit of going to movie theaters.
I
No,
And
I
I'm
totally disagree.
no, yeah, because Maverick was packed, Mario was packed. It's not. It's
When we went to the Hunger Games, we barely got seats.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
theater was full. It was a smaller
it was a
theater,
smaller
but
theater, but
that theater was full. We
yeah,
barely got a seat.
and those were expensive tickets.
Yeah.
Uh,
it's just such a hard contrast to what they were making, you know, back when they were releasing these other movies in
but I mean,
2018.
look, going up against Napoleon shouldn't be an issue because
Not for a kids movie.
no, because
not the same
not
people.
for either of these movies, because this is kind of like what you want from a movie weekend. It's like, okay, here's a movie for adults, and
Yeah.
here's a movie for kids.
Yeah,
They
for
should
kids.
both make money.
Right. And for some reason, more people are showing up for adult films than are showing
Mhm.
up for kids films. That's not across the board because I mean, we don't have at the time, I didn't have a kid. We all went and watched Mario, the 3 of us
Mhm.
Yeah.
dudes. We watched Mario and that's technically a kids movie, but it's
Yeah.
for it was enjoyed by all ages.
There were kids in there having a ton of fun.
So
I
they were
mean,
dressed up. Man,
Mhm.
how long after that movie came out were we like, "Peaches, peaches, peaches,"
right?
singing the Peaches
Yeah.
song, and it was just fun.
Everybody was.
I
And
haven't heard one person singing, Wish whatever song is popular for
I
Wish.
don't know any of the song. I
I
don't know the
don't
names of
know.
any of the characters.
well, the reason why this was like what do you call it? A anniversary film. I think it's
Mm.
like I don't know what it is. It's something. Maybe it's like from when they made Pinocchio, or I don't know. But it's like
Yeah.
the Wish Upon a Star. That's why it's themed
Mhm.
this. You know what I mean? And it's just really unfortunate for Disney that they can't get butts in seats
Mm.
No.
of any
I mean,
size.
I was watching, what were we watching this last weekend at my parents' house?
What were you
Um,
watching?
we watched
You Can Do It.
I Can Do It.
Animated movie?
Puss in Boots
Puss
and
in
the
Boots.
Last Wish.
Okay.
Puss in Boots
Yeah.
and the Last Wish, and I was watching, and I was like, "Wow, DreamWorks really has kind of co-opted
Mm,
fairy tales.
Yeah.
They've
sort
really,
of.
well, they've gotten a hand on the fairy tale nature that Disney's kind of lost, and they did it well.
Mhm.
They told a bunch of fairy tale stories in just that movie,
Right.
and it's almost like if you want to enjoy fairy tale movies, man, go watch Shrek or something. Right? Go watch Shrek, go watch Puss in Boots because they're doing better fairy tales than Disney's doing.
Yeah.
Sort of, I guess, yeah.
Did you watch
Is
Puss in Boots?
I did, and very interesting concepts. I don't think it was as good as everyone hyped it up to be,
I
but I
liked
think
it. I
I think
thought it was a
everyone was
great kids movie.
look, I think everyone was speaking good of it because it's the best thing that came out in a while.
I mean,
I think that's
I watched it again and I laughed at the funny parts, and the dialogue didn't absolutely make me wanna tear my hair out. And it's got
don't
some
want that.
pretty baller fight scenes in it. So,
Mhm.
for a movie that's about fairy tales and talking cats and things, there's a lot going on in the movie, and they
and it's
didn't.
dealing with a pretty high concept as
Yeah,
well, like the Wolf, the Grim Reaper
yeah, they
kinda thing.
didn't it didn't fall flat, which it easily could have,
Well,
and what animation at the time was saying it should have, and what
Right.
this movie, which also is dealing with wishes, is
I heard it from a
falling
lot of
flat.
people, them saying, like, felt like an anime of, like,
Mhm.
the concept, but
Puss in Boots did?
Yeah,
yeah,
especially in the
somewhat
way that they executed a lot of the fight scenes. It was
Right.
very,
anime
um yeah, like rubber banding. You know what rubber banding is? It's where
no.
you set up, you pull back and then let go. That's what a lot of
Right.
fights feel like. It feels like a build
Right,
up
right.
and execution.
Uh,
Yeah, that makes sense, that makes sense.
um, can we since we've talked about the Disney thing, can we look at Napoleon a little bit? Do you have that information pulled up?
Yeah, Napoleon, let's see, so let me find it in this article, or either that or I'm just gonna hit
Maybe just go to IMDb, we can just talk about
IMDb.
see what the numbers they've given us
All
there.
right, let's see. I know it definitely it's still like it's not much better than the numbers that we got from Wish, but that's expected somewhat. These kind of movies, especially that are around adults, they're really banking on word of mouth these
Mm,
days to get people in
And
the second weekend. And
second weekend, and we have talked about, like, with Oppenheimer, and maybe this will be I don't know if this is gonna be as much as Oppenheimer, but, we said a lot with Oppenheimer that it was going to be a after release, staying it's gonna have a lot of staying power, years to come, people are still gonna be watching it.
right, I don't think the numbers on IMDb are super accurate. This article from Variety gives us different numbers, it looks like.
Okay.
But they did a little bit better than. Okay, so let's see. Let me pull this up. Napoleon, a $200 million war epic, starring Joaquin Phoenix, is French. Really, blah 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 blah. Expected 21 million over traditional weekend and 32 million in its first 5 days of release globally. Napoleon generated 78 million. So it looks like that's globally. So although Napoleon barely eked out ahead of Wish, and on domestic box office charts analysis haven't been as harsh on the initial performance.
And I think we're gonna see. I don't know what the shelf life or the theater life is like for Napoleon, but it seems like the kind of movie that can slowly make its money over the
Right.
course of a couple weeks, a month or two.
Again, I mean, this is a live action. It's a big epic, so it makes sense it's a $200 million budget. But at some point, I know Ridley Scott's, he's a legacy director. He's used to those old Hollywood films that take a lot of money. I just don't see the point. Like, honestly, I don't see the point after The Creator why Hollywood, for business reasons, are making anything over 100 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can do so much with technology now that there shouldn't be any. I mean, just if I was plopped into a studio, my first thing would be, if I was just plopped into a studio, my first thing would be, all right, we have a cap on like 150 million for adjustments. You know what I mean? And everything past that needs to be for marketing only. If you can't make your film with that much money, then we're kind of, then I don't think we should make it, because
Yeah.
numbers for theaters are down. It takes a lot to get a really big hit, and it's almost unpredictable the market is right now on what is going to pop off, because Oppenheimer is Chris Nolan's highest grossing film, next to The Dark Knight, I believe.
Yeah.
And you would have thought Interstellar would have taken next highest grossing film or anything, but no, it was Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer and Dark Knight, the highest grossing Chris Nolan films. That wasn't predictable.
No.
Also, I mean, Oppenheimer's a biopic, dude, you know?
Yeah.
That's also rated R. And all these movies have a lot going against it to make a ton of money, and they still whooped butt.
I've been asking a few people if they're gonna go watch Napoleon, and I'm sad to say this, but I have heard people say, probably not. That's mostly what I'm hearing from people. I don't know. I've asked a couple people, and nobody said, I'm really excited to go watch this Napoleon
You
movie.
know, I think I've said it before. I don't know that this is the kind of movie that destroys the box office. It's seems like the kind of movie that as time goes on gets really popular with dads.
Right.
You know, the same way Braveheart and Gladiator and The Patriot and Dances with Wolves and, you know, just all of these movies that dads like. This seems like a dad movie.
Right.
Weiss just trying to dad us already. I mean, Joseph can dad because, you know, he's doing that right now.
No. I'm not trying to dad us. I'm saying
that
dads like these movies, and it feels like as time goes on, you know, I think people are going to be watching and appreciating Napoleon more at home.
Maybe. What we need is we need to get, you know, the biggest screen we can get our hands on, probably like a, you know, an 80-inch. Yeah, about an 80-inch screen, and we got to have a watch party for it when it comes
with as many dads as possible.
Yeah.
Pack as many dads into one room as we possibly can.
Let's hit this real quick, because this is week number 2 for Hunger Games, and it came out on top of both Napoleon and Wish for opening weekend, and so it seems like people are interested. Do you think a lot of people saved their viewing experience of Hunger Games for the holiday? You think that might be what happened?
That's
maybe
possible.
Just word of mouth. I mean, we talked highly about it after watching. We're like,
and the people I talked to, some of my friends who are not movie people the way we are, they're just regular plebeians. it's just part of the dumb masses, if you will.
Okay.
They they liked the
Calm down.
movie. They liked the movie, I think, much more than I liked the movie,
It's a
and
good movie. I was not upset at it.
yeah, so I think we're definitely getting some word of mouth here on the second weekend.
So it made 28 million domestically, I believe, and so it adds a good chunk to its income. And for example, it's better positioned to make money because it only had $100 million budget, different than Wish, different than Napoleon. It's half of their budget. So again, just to wrap this conversation up, Disney, at some point, Bob Iger is going to have to dial it back for real and say, like, look, we can't give our movies any more money. If you can make a over $1 billion grossing and theatrical run income for something like Mario that Illumination does, that's not as big a studio as Disney, then why is Disney putting out double the budget for something that's on the same level or less good than something like Mario? So I think it comes down to you have to have a good idea. You can't just throw money at a problem and expect to make it back, right?
Yeah, and Hunger Games was fighting against the Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, it was.
That's true, and people are still watching it. More people are probably going to watch Rachel Zegler in Hunger Games than they're going to watch her in Snow White.
Oh, we're going to talk about that when it comes out.
Let's look at this last thing.
2 movies about snow, and I think I know which one it's going to be better in the box office.
Right. Okay, first thing, let's just bring this up because Wyatt, you sent this to me. I thought you might find this interesting. We kind of hinted at it. So critics of Napoleon's epic have fallen for Emperor's fibs, saying film's military expert. So apparently, I kind of skimmed this, and is what it's basically talking about is people who are fans of history are criticizing the movie, but the person who's actually the historian and whatnot for the film is saying that people don't understand that Napoleon fibbed his entire political and military career.
Yeah.
About his success, and everyone is buying into that propaganda.
Look,
even today.
I would like to point out.
Go for it.
Okay, point it out.
I would like to point out that despite if Napoleon fibbed about his successes, all of the battles that he won. All the battles he lost.
Right.
And everything that happened, it happened. He became an emperor. He inspired soldiers and a nation, and had people who loved him and people who hated him. There's
people
a
who
reason.
Feared him.
Yeah, there's a reason he is one of the most famous emperors in all of history. And it's not just because he lied about what he did and didn't do.
Yeah.
Because he did a lot of the things that history records. So I don't think people are falling victim to Bonaparte's fibs. I think, if anything, people are maybe kind of glorifying the past a little bit with maybe some of, but it's an epic. It's supposed to be dramatic. It's supposed to be epic. It's supposed to be intense.
Right.
This is filmmaking. This isn't a historical
entertainment.
Yeah, this is entertainment first and foremost. It's not a documentary.
Right. And that makes sense. I will say, though, this article says that it's historians that are the ones that are coming after it. And they're like, no, like, we have evidence that it was over exaggerated by Napoleon, and you guys are critiquing or criticizing the film because you think it happened exactly the way Napoleon said it happened, right? I think the example was in one of the battles, or he said that he claimed 3 ships in a battle, but the evidence shows that he only claimed 1. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to build his reputation, and historians are inclined to think, no, he took 3 ships, right?
Right. Well,
That's
yeah.
an interesting take to make
Look,
Ridley Scott the bad guy here.
the even that aspect, like, you know, if he was lying to make himself look better, he did a good job.
But
Yeah.
He did a good job.
he was a
He
real good
became
liar if that was the case.
I mean, he's
extremely
got a movie.
famous.
I
Yeah,
don't got a movie about
he's
me.
got a couple movies.
And you're a real liar. I mean, you just lie
I mean,
left and right.
I got to
Not as-
start building
not
my name up
successfully,
better.
apparently. Yeah, you need to take at least 3 ships. But
You
I mean,
well, you
really
gotta
only
you
need the
gotta tell
one.
at
Well, no.
least a half.
Wait,
half
you guys
truth.
haven't heard? You guys
What?
haven't heard? I took 4 ships.
Okay.
Ooh, 4 ships.
Look, I think you got to tell half truths if you want to build your reputation. There's
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
be some truth to it. You got to show back up in the harbor with a ship at least. And you could say, "Oh, we sunk the other 2." You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
You got to at least deliver on what it is that you're saying, at least
I deliver.
partially.
I deliver.
But I think overall, like we said, close to the top of this, Ridley Scott gets a lot of criticism because he tackles these historical events in some fashion, or fictionalized historical events, and he's bold enough to keep doing it. You know,
Yeah.
He
even
is.
though he gets a lot of
he's
criticism,
too old.
or he's too old.
He's too old and senile and has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah, man, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's up to.
He's trying.
Yeah, it's I would love to see Ridley Scott and Clint Eastwood do like an epic cowboy biopic.
No, don't throw
Not
Clint
Clint
back on
Eastwood.
screen.
Maybe-
No,
yeah,
I just
please
want
no
to
more
see.
Clint
No, look,
Eastwood.
I just want to see these 2 directors hobbling around with their walkers and you know, and balls at the base of them, and like
Give
trying to
me-
decide how they're going to shoot a scene or whatever. I just want to see like 2 old directors arguing about how the scene should play out, and I want a lot of behind the scenes footage.
and throw Martin Scorsese in there.
No, because Martin Scorsese, he's going to be spry, walking around like the effeminate director he is,
Give
and
me
he's going to be
Robert
pointing at things.
De Niro.
He's going to be an old whippersnapper. He's going to be walking circles around Clint Eastwood and Ridley Scott.
It'd be funny though.
Give me Robert De Niro. I'll take him any day over Clint Eastwood.
He's
I know
not
they're
a
not in the same
director.
boat.
No,
Talking
no,
about that.
as
He's talking
Clint
about the acting.
Yeah.
but Clint Eastwood is a director. He's a director.
Yeah.
He's directed a lot of stuff, and he's also acted. But
just, you know, I just think that
make your point, bro. You can't.
I got
Okay,
no
hold on.
point.
We got to address this. You can't chime in with a point and end with a chi.
Oh, I just
Gee. No,
Good
I know what you're
grief,
saying. Clint Eastwood's his directing hasn't been. It's not been
No.
up there either, in my opinion, based on the last couple movies he's done.
last couple.
So
Yeah,
Ridley
last
Scott
couple.
still hasn't hit the Clint Eastwood downfall, if you would say.
No.
Should we? Is it disrespectful to call Clint Eastwood's movies a downfall?
Yes. No,
It's disrespectful.
it's not
No.
disrespectful.
I mean,
It's accurate.
it's
the
accurate.
facts.
Hmm.
Go watch The Cry, Matcha.
Yeah. Cry Macho was not.
I don't think it's cry
Good.
matcha.
Matcha is something you eat.
Matcha is a tea.
Cry Macho.
Yeah, cry macho.
It's one of those things. It's either a beverage or it's a movie. I don't know. It's one of them.
One's better than the other for sure.
Yeah, one actually gives me something.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
This has been Monday all weekend. We're here every Monday, and we thank you guys for showing up. Like the video, leave some comments after the video's been put on. What is it, the VOD? You guys need to help me out here. I'm floundering.
I went to your full screen. You're wrapping it up.
You did good. Keep it on the full screen.
Tell them to subscribe. And I don't
subscribe.
know what the VOD is. The replay,
The
playback.
replay. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. Thanks for putting up with us. We'll see you next Monday.